I'm going to wait until I'm 21, and if I'm still gay, then I'll come out.
What made you decide you'd be good at comedy?
The experience of just making my friends laugh and my family laugh, and I guess knowing that I was funny in a social setting. What really changed things for me was...
OnlyFans.
Was it?
How do you make jokes?
Quite. I think good idea generation is the hardest part of the job.
Hey, I saw you there. I thought you were wonderful. How are you?
I thought you were wonderful.
Yeah.
No, I think that's nice. I think the problem for you would be
Your age.
Your size of your massive head.
if you're like gigging particularly with someone famous or super famous, then they're like, oh wow. But then I think they quite quickly see the like quite unromantic
It's all
side of
fake.
it. It's all fake.
They had an illusion of you, and then reality is...
The reality is very different. It's shattered. They're off. Yeah, totally.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see that. Do you go often to kill it?
I go
When
to-
can I catch you?
Yeah, exactly. I go to...
I'm there sitting.
like,
Where's that kid?
Where's Ellen?
Hi, I'm Azamat.
And I'm Oliver, and we're the founders of Friends of Dorothy.
Today's episode, we're having one of the sharpest and cheekiest voices in British comedy, Mark Bittlestone.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
You know what's super funny? When I was preparing for this podcast, I asked ChatGPT to create an intro about you, and that's what it says.
Sharpest and
cheekiest voices in British comedy. Yeah.
I love that. That's great. Thanks, ChatGPT. Yeah.
Mark, we usually start with asking our guests to tell us a little bit about yourself. So our audience is very global, so some might know you, some might not.
So I grew up in sort of southwest London, and I started doing comedy at uni, but then started sort of taking it a little bit more seriously in kind of thought I would try and take it a bit more seriously in about 2019. And then the pandemic hit, and I started doing kind of like reels and TikToks, mainly like humorous takes on being queer, essentially. And then I sort of emerged out of the pandemic with like a relatively big social media audience, which I think gave me a lot of confidence. And then, started progressing in stand-up, and hopefully some listeners and users of A Friend of Dorothy follow me or enjoy my content.
Just very curious a little bit about your childhood and where it all comes from, being gay and being out.
Is he gay? No.
Don't tell anyone. We're still in the closet. I was the youngest of like 4 kids. I think, in terms of my childhood, vis-a-vis like comedy, first of all, I think when you have lots of siblings, I guess humor is one of the ways that you try and like dominate the conversation. So always growing up, the trying to be the funniest was really what we were all trying to do. So I think that influenced my kind of love of being the funniest or whatever. In terms of my kind of queerness, I think probably, I don't know if you guys do this. I definitely knew or realised age 14 that I was probably gay. But actually, the older I get, I think the earlier I tend to now cast that nascent sort of realisation. I now look back and I'm like, actually probably age like 11.
What was there a moment you were like, one day you're like, oh my God, I think I'm gay?
Yeah, I think definitely by the time I was 14, I was like very aware that I was having sexual thoughts about other boys. And I was like, okay, hopefully these will just go away, because I was born in 93. So still like in the late 90s and the early noughties, the idea that it was a phase or whatever was absolutely still prevalent in culture. So I genuinely remember, and this is a bit like weird, I guess, but I genuinely remember saying to myself, okay, I'm going to wait until I'm 21. And if I'm still gay, then I'll come out, which I did in the end. But actually looking back, I do wish, I don't know if my school would have been the best place, but I went to like a very liberal uni. So I wish actually I had come out just in my first term. I think that would have made life a bit easier for myself.
So you came out at the age of 21?
Yeah.
So it was last year?
My final year of uni, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Although I then stayed for a master's, so I could really fill my boots.
Getting into the freshers, yeah. Fill his boots with freshers.
If you like.
So from the age of, for example, 12, 13 till 21, you were closeted.
Yeah, exactly.
And what did that mean? Were you dating girls? Did you deny? Did you lie?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly did a lot of lying. Or I suppose fiction creation, pretending that you fancy girls. I would, try and fit in with my friends and lie and say that I fancied girls. And I had, I guess, short, quote unquote, relationships with girls in my teens and stuff. But I think I was lucky. My sort of male social group at school quite closely resembled like the In-Betweeners, if you're familiar with that TV show. The In-Betweeners was a UK TV show, basically about a group of losers.
Okay.
And so all of my friends, my male friends, were terrible with girls anyway. So I managed to fit in.
Okay.
And which one would you like?
So they won't judge you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they were losers as well.
Yeah. It was
Okay.
like, I still, despite being gay, probably wasn't even wasn't getting with the fewest girls. That's how bad they were.
But usually gay boys are very good to make friends with girls, right? So, for example, I remember my childhood, I would be like the best friend of all the girls.
I went to an all-boys school, but we obviously knew kind of neighbouring girls' schools. But I did make a very conscious decision to try and be mask, right? To try and convince people that I was.
How did that work out for you?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think I was lucky in that respect that I did like genuinely enjoy sport and still do. So I could like play that and enjoy that without having to be someone that I wasn't. And also I like drinking and I like, gently bullying my friends. So quite a lot of the things that is part of, straight culture in inverted commas. And also that I suppose my gender presentation is relatively masculine anyway. So I didn't find it too hard, I think, to fit in or to maintain that lie. But almost in a way, because I found it quite easy, that probably meant that I came out a bit later, because I don't think a lot of people, thought that I was maybe gay or suspected me. I think people were like, okay, Mark's
Just unlucky with women.
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
How did coming out story go?
Yeah. Well, actually, sadly, my mum had passed away by the time. My mum passed away in 2011, and then. Yeah, I was 21. I was at uni. I was like, okay, geez. I was pretty low by this point, mental health wise, because, I guess I had constructed a little bit of a cage for myself, if you will. Where I don't know, at uni I was like captain of football, blah, blah, blah. And I think I overthought it way more than, I don't think anyone else really cared. But I guess I was scared about coming out, worried about coming out. And then fortunate that one of my friends, her friend was this like very good looking gay guy. So I met him on a night out, got with him, we kind of started dating, and he really helped me come out. And I remember like him being in the room when I called my sister and then called a few of my close friends, and then just told them to like tell other people. And then I actually told my two brothers at my sister's 30th. And their reactions were quite funny. So I told both of them we're quite drunk at this bar. And my oldest brother the next day, he's like 10 years older than me, so he would have been like 30 at the time. He calls me the next day. He's like, let's go for a coffee. Let's chat it through. I'm really sorry you didn't feel you could tell me. My middle brother like doesn't say anything. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Maybe he's just so chill with it. Like he doesn't feel the need to like follow up or whatever. Anyway, a week later, I just texted him saying, is it okay if my boyfriend comes and stays at the family home where we were both living? And he was like, yeah, that's fine, but just as an FYI, sorry, but I thought you were joking about the whole gay thing.
Oh my god. And you said that your elder brother took you for coffee to talk about it.
Yeah, I think he drove over to the family home the next day and like had a really nice chat with me. He was super sweet about it. He was like, I feel really sorry that you couldn't tell us earlier. Also, want to apologize for the prevalence of kind of homophobia in our family home growing up. Not like brutal gay bashing, but I'm sure similar for you guys.
It's just normal stuff. That's gay, and
exactly,
which now you can't do, but back then it was just normal in every house.
Yeah, completely, an absolute normalization of gay as an insult. And I mean, definitely by the age of like 9, 10, 11, I absolutely knew that like the one thing I did not want to be was gay. Like that was crystal clear in my mind, which definitely played a massive role in delaying me coming out for the best part of a decade. He did totally apologise for that. And I was like, look, it's also not your fault. I mean, our parents allowed that to happen. And that just was the prevailing culture, unfortunately.
And to be fair, I mean, you were gay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, everyone...
So when they were calling you gay, they were sort of spot on.
Yeah, everyone got blasted with it. I mean, yeah, my middle brother. The funny thing was, again, I think, talking about being able to hide in plain sight, I think if you had kind of polled my family or extended family and friends, like who in our family was gay, they probably would have said my middle brother.
So I'm, as I say, one of 8. And I think there's 3 that are gayer than me. And they're not even gay. I remember because we used to be married. Like when I started introducing him to my brothers, he was like,
"Yes."
Wow. Okay, right.
Now, yeah.
Still good friends and business partners.
We're still business partners.
Define friends.
And we have a daughter. We have a 5-year-old daughter together, so we co-parent. But when I would introduce him to some of my brothers, he'd be like, "Well, he's definitely gayer than you."
Right.
But they're all married to women and have kids, so let's hope they're not watching.
Maybe that doesn't cancel that they're gay.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not strong as you are, Oliver, to come out.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
They could have wives and daughters. Yeah.
Back to Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And parents, their reaction?
Yeah, well, again, unfortunately, my mum had passed away and my dad was very ill when I told my siblings, as in my mum died of cancer and then my dad kind of got psychotic depression really as a result. So do you know what actually my siblings said? Not like, definitely don't tell him, but they were like, I don't think you'll get... It might not be the best thing to do in this moment. So I didn't actually tell him. And then unfortunately he took his own life. I mean, not as a result of him.
That went a bit dark.
Yeah, imagine if I had told him and then he took his life. Anyway, no, unfortunately, basically, long story short, I never told either of my parents. I think both of them would have been like very fine with it. Very, very positive, very supportive.
Do you wish they knew?
I think it would have been nice because I think... Yeah, I think often that's clearly something you worry about maybe growing up. How will my parents react? And so I suppose in a way it's sad to be stripped of that option. Obviously, it's, at the same time, I never had to have that chat. So in a way, I guess it gave me the freedom to
get with all them freshers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Although even if they had known, I don't think they would have been like in the student union watching, being like,
another one. Let's put this on the tally.
Yeah.
And what did you study for your undergrad then?
I studied history,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a history teacher for a bit. I taught secondary school history.
How was that experience?
Yeah, good. I enjoyed it. I did get fired. I should mention that.
Okay.
I got fired for just pulling like quite egregious sickies. I was a good teacher. The school didn't, want to fire me, but I just did pull like 2 quite big sickies that they just then had to follow due process. But it was also becoming increasingly difficult to balance comedy with teaching, teach for a whole day and then try and go and do a gig in the evenings.
Yeah.
Like exhausting. So it's fine in the end, but it was pretty miserable at the time.
Teaching?
No, being fired. Yeah.
So I guess my question is, because we're going through the timeline, where the comedy started, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I think definitely growing up, my favorite thing to do was to make like my classmates laugh and my family laugh. And then when I was at uni, I remember so when my dad passed away, like 2015, at the time I was applying for like, I don't know, or thinking about like business jobs and that kind of thing. And then I was like, I don't really want to do that. like lots of my family and a kind of, I suppose, peer group from school and that kind of thing had done. So I was like, Cambridge has a very famous comedy society, the Footlights. So I was like, do you know what? I don't know what I want to do anyway. I'll do a master's and try my hand at comedy, see how it goes. So I did that, and I really loved that, and then moved to London. Wasn't really sure how to find my footing in comedy, so got a job teaching, but was sort of dabbling in comedy really, but never really committing to it. And then when I got fired in 2019, I was like, okay, do you know what? Let's actually try and sort of go for it.
What made you decide you would be good at comedy?
I think because I had that experience of just making my friends laugh and my family laugh, and I guess knowing that I was funny in a social setting, which doesn't necessarily always translate onto stage.
I wanted to get into comedy.
I remember.
He didn't let me. It was when we were married. It's one of the reasons we divorced. It's not the only reason.
That doesn't bring any money to the household.
So true.
But I had my business at that time, and it was doing really well. And I wanted to do comedy. And you bought me a book.
Yes.
You didn't stop me. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I divorced you for no reason.
Yeah.
In my head, you ruined my comedy career.
Shame.
Yeah. But again, when I remember, I was like, I have good timing.
Yeah.
Like when people are saying stuff, I'm like really sharp with the witty comment back.
You're funny. I'll give you that.
Don't have the looks or the charm that he has.
No.
But I'm funny. I always wish I had. Sorry.
Well, I mean, you can do it now. You can do it.
Can I reframe it? So basically the question is, where do you even start?
I mean, I think just the best thing to do is to just book a 5-minute. There's so many open mic nights, particularly in London or in any big city. So if you just type into Google nearest open mic night to me, you can sign up, do a 5-minute spot. There's also loads of comedy courses, the stand-up comedy courses. You can do that if you want to get a little bit of confidence before you do the first 5 minutes. But I think it's just about going and giving it a go, really. And, definitely your first 5 minutes will be bad.
Yeah.
But you can just see if you like the experience of being on stage and the challenge of trying to make people laugh and all of that.
So you've done that? You've tried few stand-up, 5-minute gigs?
Yeah, exactly. I would, from leaving university in 2017 until the pandemic, I would kind of dip in and dip out. So I think actually what really changed things for me was
OnlyFans.
Was it?
You got his following on there.
Can you imagine?
I'm glad you said it, Azamat. That was the real swinger for me. People are a big fan of this. No, I think genuinely getting a social media following, which I did during the pandemic, gave me the confidence to be like, oh, okay, all of these people like my voice, think I'm funny. So that then translated, I think, into my confidence on stage as well. And then things started going well for me after the pandemic, and I got an agent and got into lots of the clubs.
So how do you... I'm digging into a little bit more details from the income perspective.
Yeah.
So from being fired as a history teacher, then to build up your income, I'm not sure I understand how would you monetize social media?
Immediately after being fired, I became a private tutor.
In what?
I teach English and maths generally, but also history sometimes.
Okay.
But there's just so much demand for English and maths.
Okay.
Because all students have to basically pass it at GCSE.
Ah, okay. So that was an income for you for a while. And
exactly.
Still is?
And still is. I mean, less and less, which is really nice. But
and parents trust you.
I know, right? Well, the good thing is parents don't really know who I am. They wouldn't. I don't think any of them have looked me up. One kid once looked me up. He was like, I think I've seen you on social media. And I was like, that's not me. And he was like, right, but it has your name in your face.
Not me.
Describe your average week. What does it look like with your touring? And
it is quite varied. Generally speaking, I would have gigs, paid gigs, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then in the week you'd more likely to be doing like new material gigs on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I've just done a UK tour, so obviously that was a bit different. I was all over the UK.
So I never thought about it. Like you are testing your materials on Monday, Tuesdays in like local pub.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. In still in comedy.
In the bushes in Clapham Common.
My material.
I want you to come and test my material.
Yeah. How's my material?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of clubs. I mean, there's one very near here, for example, called Big Belly Comedy Club that runs every night of the week.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, on a Friday and Saturday, they'll charge like 15, 20 quid a ticket, and everyone on the lineup is doing tried and tested material. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're charging like 5 quid a ticket. The proviso being, look, these comics are going to have a notebook on stage. Some of the stuff they try is going to be rubbish.
And is there audience?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's just him in a big room.
No, it's just, I'm always curious, like, who will come on Monday evening? Who is the audience? What are these people? What is weirdos?
That's about really questioning the entire comedy, the premise of the entire comedy industry. Yeah, I guess a lot of the time your audience really is a comic art. It's a real date thing. A lot of couples will go on a date to comedy because particularly, actually, well, at any stage in their relationship, but I think it means they don't have to do that much heavy lifting in terms of talking to each other.
Yeah. And they still believe that you are funny then because you brought them to the experience of where they laugh, right?
Exactly.
It's smart. And when it comes to Fridays, Saturdays, which is, I guess, your prime time.
Exactly, yeah.
Where can we find you?
Yeah, so
Clapham
I mean,
Common in the bushes. material.
That's how we did figure it out. Yeah.
That is my prime time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all over the place. Just this Saturday I was at the Comedia Club in Bath. This Saturday I'm at a place called the Stand Up Club in London Bridge. This Thursday I'm at the Comedy Store. All over, really. I mean, mainly like London.
Yeah.
But I gig all over the UK. Yeah.
And just for people like Oliver who want to be a comedian one day,
One day.
just to understand, like, how much are comedians paid?
Yeah, I mean, it can vary hugely. In terms of like the circuit, so you got your weekend club gigs. I don't know, probably like club comedians are making between 500 quid and £1,000, and you guys can obviously work that out. It's probably going to end up somewhere between like 20 and 30 grand, but per year. But then you're supplementing that with like corporate gigs and tours, and obviously I'm fortunate to have a social media audience, so you're also making like brand money. But the honest answer is in the early years, you know, I mean, in my first couple of years doing comedy, I earned an incredibly small amount, like a few grand, you know, or even less in my first year. By the time you get to the point where you have an hour of material and you're touring that, it's significantly more lucrative.
Yeah.
But it's still, if you're interested in making money, it's not the industry I would necessarily.
Oh, of course. It should be like your secondary and you have your primary kind of income.
Yeah, or do it as a passion and see where it goes.
And then from the social media, what kind of income you can get there?
Yeah, I mean, that varies enormously. And the problem with that income is it's so unpredictable. I, like, last year made almost no money from brand work. And then this summer, in 1 month, I made like double what I made from comedy last year,
Oh, wow.
which is great. But it's just, the problem with it is unpredictability as an income
And that's
stream.
promoting products?
Yeah, exactly. This summer I've done deals for Chicken Shop, for Google Gemini, for Heineken.
And do they ask you to promote directly, like hard sell, or is it like you are doing some sort of comedy sketch and you put it inside somewhere?
What they want in their dream is for you to do a comedy sketch that their product happens to be in that would then go viral.
Yeah.
The problem is that's really hard to do.
Of course.
Right? To do a comedy sketch and then be like, oh, I'm just going to have this Wrigley's chewing gum. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it ends up being a real mix. I mean, the ones I did for Chicken Shop, which you can see on my Instagram because they're quite recent, was with Tiara Sky, the drag queen, and Kima Bob, who's another amazing comedian. And they were really fun. Like those were like Pride based ones because they are doing a Pride like burger Pride campaign. And there was like a writer's room. We got to contribute. They made like 6 reels out of it. They shot it really well. It looks really good.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. But then you get more random ones, like the ones I did for Google Gemini. They like gave me like 4 days notice to make 6 reels where I was using their AI thing to promote the Women's Euros, which was such a hard brief. Then I post those reels on my page. It was a fun experience and very lucrative.
I'm always so curious, how do you create material? How do you make jokes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about that as well. It's honestly
Bit late for that.
Yeah.
quite. I think good idea generation is the hardest part of the job because it's not really linear to the time and effort you put in. I've had periods where I've said, okay, every morning I'm going to sit down for 90 minutes and I'm going to write jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go and try them, or I look at them at the end of the week and I'm like, oh, there's nothing good here. And then I'm on the bus on the way to a gig and I have an idea. And in the space of 3.5 minutes, I just type it out on my notes. And then I try it at the gig and it's by far the best thing I've written, that season or whatever. Yeah. It's incredibly frustrating, I think, particularly if you are like quite a logical person like I am. So I think you just have to come to terms with how random it is. And also the problem is how it can really fluctuate. So look, if you're not feeling great, if you're a little bit low, it's bloody hard to write material.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, so it's very at the whims as well of at your personal and like emotional life. Like I went through like a mini breakup. We hadn't been together that long. A short relationship ended in like April. And so then I was like, in April and May, I was like,
you have to keep posting, I guess, for your following and stuff.
Yeah, but I think trying to force yourself to be funny when you're not feeling funny, I think is the way to fall out of love with the game. So I don't try and force myself. I think you if you start treating yourself just as this sort of machine, then you lose the love for it, I think. And I've gone through periods like that. So I think now I just try and be like, great, if I have a good idea, if I have something that makes me laugh, then let's go for it.
My question to you is, do you only post like the comedy and like all that stuff?
I think speak a lot on my Instagram about social justice issues and Gaza over the last 18 months and stuff. I think to give people a sense of you being like a rounded person and having other things that you care about. And I'll post me watching like the other day, like the England women's football and really cheering and screaming. People really like, this is the point of social media, isn't it? People really like thinking that they're following a person, that they have more of a 360 image of that person instead of it just being a work thing. I think maybe other people are better at like setting sort of boundaries on social media.
When you're on social media and you watch Reels or TikTok, very often when the comedian is talking to the audience and asking them, where are you from? What do you do? Mm-hmm. Is that a very classic way how to interact with the audience?
If you went to a comedy night this evening, you'd have the MC who generally doesn't do much pre-prepared material, but generally does what we would call crowd work, which is what you're describing.
Yeah.
So chatting to the audience and like roasting them a bit for doing their jobs. And then you would have the comics around them doing material. For the last 5 years, crowd work has done really well on TikTok in particular. I think because of its feeling of authenticity and unpreparedness and in the room nature. I mean, certainly like Matt Rife, right? Are you familiar with Matt Rife?
No.
Millions and millions of followers on social media, kind of chiseled cheekbones. I'm sure some of your American listeners will be. His entire shtick, his whole platform is built off doing crowd work.
You know who inspired me for this question? This lesbian American lady who always...
Ellen DeGeneres.
No. It's like,
she's living in the UK now.
She's like...
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She left because of Trump. She wants a stand-up show here.
And because she got cancer.
Look a bit like her.
I've been told that before.
Are you her?
This is her big move.
Yeah.
She moved to the UK and thought, you know what, I've got to get on the Friend of Dorothy podcast.
But is that part of like classic show?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think if you're experienced in crowd work, then it's a really useful skill to have, because if you're the first one on, then actually doing some crowd work can often help build a bit of momentum in the room, because audiences tend to just be slightly more focused because they think, oh, I could be asked the question next. Well, what is that? What does that guy do for work? Has he just cheated on his partner? People are kind of suspicious and want gossip naturally. So it's definitely a useful like tool. So sometimes, particularly if I'm opening, I might do like 5 minutes of jokes and then in a quite chilled way pick on someone in the front row or whatever.
And then you need to roast them, right?
There's such a culture of it now online, on TikTok, the kind of roasting people in the front row. So I try not to I don't know, I want to make it a welcoming like place, going to a comedy club, and not have people feel like...
Yeah.
So, but like gently, roasting them.
Yeah.
You'd have some one-liner comedians, like Mark Simmons would be a great person to look up, who genuinely does have like an actual pre-prepared joke about almost every job. I think most people doing crowd work, it's not quite that. It's just like searching for a laugh because of what they do kind of thing, as opposed as slightly less to like a well-formed joke.
Do you have like, I don't know, top 3 jokes that always make people laugh?
Yeah, I would have like what I would hope were like go-to bangers. And then when I do them and people don't laugh, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a tough gig. I like have a joke about telling a Glasgow working men's audience that I'm gay, and just something that someone said in the crowd. I have a good joke about like being gay and going to football. So that's like the theme of stuff that
I follow you on Instagram, and I find next to all of it hilarious.
Very sweet.
How do you stitch that into a show? What's your show about?
Yeah, I mean, this show is just really all about, I think, growing up gay and then finding yourself a gay guy in your 20s and now early 30s, and the process, I suppose, of, I don't know if coming to terms with it is maybe too much, but like consistently having to work out what it means. So it's really all about that, but also just like, funny shit that happens to me.
Mm-hmm. And who's your following?
Mainly, I mean, almost exclusively gay men.
Okay. If we switch the gear to your personal life, if that's all right?
Please do.
So you are not dating anyone for now?
Yeah, I'm single at the moment. So I had the guy that I came out to, who then helped me come out at university, lovely guy. We dated for like a year after that. And then I feel like that was 10 years ago. I haven't had a relationship that has lasted that long since then. I've had lots of 3-month kind of things, and then inevitably I
get dumped.
Get follow up. They discover my.
He said I wasn't funny, and I have dad jokes. That's it now.
Now you're in trouble now.
Yeah.
He won't stop.
No,
until he gets his revenge.
I didn't say you weren't funny. I said you were hack. I just 3 months. I'm often like, oh, I don't know, if this is going anywhere, if I want to spend longer with this person. But I think also, I'm sure lots of hopefully listeners can relate. I think maybe you go through like your queer adolescence in that 5 or 10 years after coming out, right? Because you were denied that in your teens, that period of exploration, that period of being casual, that period of having fun, of exploring romance. So yeah, I'm not that stressed that I'm yet to sort of have loads of long-term relationships. I think it's okay. Yeah, I think I get the ick quite easily. I'm sure a therapist would have lots to dissect, but I'm like, oh, that's actually really not for me.
So what type of guys do you go for usually?
You know what? Someone asked me what like my type was the other day, and I think this is my answer. I think my type, if you put a wig on them, I think they would look beautiful. Is my type. Quite like androgynous, effeminate features. Facially.
So Oliver.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm not like crazy about like, no offense, like stubble, like beards. So that's like physically my type.
Why do you look so shocked?
Sorry. Once again, I'm just trying to better understand whether I've heard it right.
So I think like guys who are not necessarily like crazy masculine looking.
Yeah.
Maybe like more slightly like androgynous.
Like Troye Sivan?
Yeah, it would be a good example. And personality wise, I think obviously they need to find me really funny. That's the main.
Okay.
That's basically it, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How else would you get approval?
Yeah.
Validation.
Yeah.
Validation, that's the one.
That's actually the only trait they need to have.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, and then was it like your type for a long time?
Yeah, I think that's been like relatively fixed across my.
And what was like the ick then?
I mean, the icks are like, this can sound so judgmental, but sometimes like diet and lifestyle. I can't be too specific, just in case
Of course,
any
of course.
exes do listen. I don't want to pinpoint.
Of course.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I've just dated guys who I think it's super easy, and I, drink too much almost certainly. But I think maybe particularly in the gay community, you can date, guys who like just don't see an issue with like doing drugs on a Tuesday night or whatever. And I'm like, if I start doing that, then I will lose like the run of who I am, particularly because I don't have a 9 to 5 job, right? I don't have a traditional job. And so building your own routine, as I'm sure you guys know, is like harder.
Yes.
So I think you have to set boundaries around that kind of thing.
So I've discussed this a lot with my therapist on the fact of, I'm like, I want someone who, if I'm going to date someone, it has to be somebody who's settled and like knows where they're going. And if somebody's going to be, and it's totally cool. If you want to go out and party on a Tuesday, that's fine. Yeah. But it's a completely different type of lifestyle. And I think it's hard to date if you're not in that environment. It's almost impossible to date someone who is.
I think also I don't have that much self-control, and so I'm just like I don't want to get dragged. I know I would get dragged in. Yeah. So I've been in things where I'm like, well, I can actually feel myself getting dragged into like a world that I actually need to sort of set boundaries around.
Would you tend to go for funny guys, or would you find that like a bit...
We're still trying to figure out whether you'll date us.
I like to think I would go for funny guy. I actually do need someone who's funny. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's my new. I think I've dated people primarily for their looks.
Okay.
And also lots of them have been super lovely, but I think that's actually been my main criterion in the past. But I think I now need to be a bit deeper.
Go for personality.
Go a bit deeper. Yeah.
So do people slide in your DMs and like what's going on there?
What's going on there?
If they are sliding in your DMs, what are they sliding in with?
Yeah.
People do slide into my DMs, sometimes.
Do you read them?
I will. It's tough because actually Instagram is quite a main. I do get work through Instagram.
Yes.
I'll get like gigs through Instagram, like brand stuff sometimes. So I do need to monitor the inbox because stuff goes into your like message requests box, right? Yeah. So I try and like scan that like first half line that I can read and see if it's business related.
Yeah.
And if not, I tend to sort of delete it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes if they look like they could be hot,
then you'll open it.
But you know what? It's so hard, isn't it? Because in the past I've resorted to like taking a screenshot and then blowing up.
Because they know you've opened it.
Oh. Well, that's it.
So you never met anyone from Instagram?
No, I don't know if I really have. I've met guys whose DMs I have slid into.
How do you slide into someone's DMs? I've never done it or had it.
For example, if I was hypothetically into you, I would be very scared to write to you because of the rejection, because of so many things. Yeah. So teach me, how would I trap you on the first date?
I don't think I'm good at it. I just slide into people's DMs and go like, hey, how are you? I think we fixate on like what you have to say on Hinge or whatever. But I think ultimately, like if they're kind of into you, if they think you're hot, then they'll probably go for a drink with you or whatever. I don't think it's too much. I don't think you are gonna like say anything mind-blowing on.
It's more about, I guess, when you text, and if it's natural, you could feel that from the person vibe, right? That they are actually interested in you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm quite a big fan of like musical theater, or I would go out somewhere, and then I see like super hot, like, I don't know, musician in the orchestra. And then I was like, literally trying to find them on social media. And then I find them and I'm like, okay, what I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, do I even follow them? What if they have hundreds and I'll be like one of the losers who also texted them, you know? So you have so much overthinking.
Yeah.
Instead of say, hey, I saw you. So you're saying what I should do is like say, hey, I saw you there. I thought you were wonderful. How are you?
I thought you were wonderful.
You're wonderful.
Yeah.
No, I think that's nice. I think the problem for you would be
Your age.
Your size of your massive head.
Can you imagine?
No, that's not even the worst of it.
No, that's genuinely not what I was going to say at all. I think most messages now go into like message requests, right? So actually, it's almost DMing someone. Is it even worth it? Are they even going to see it?
Okay.
I think in our society, like not rightly so, but like if you have some followers, then people tend to look at it and think, oh, I should look at that message, right? So I feel like sometimes if I DM someone, they'll be like, oh, he's got like followers, like who's he? Which gives you a slight like leg up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I think if you're just a civilian,
Commoner.
Yeah, buy some followers.
if you're a peasant, if you're a porridge-eating peasant, then you're in trouble. But also, look, I've slid into plenty of DMs and not heard anything back. So
yeah,
it's hard out there. I think normally now I would meet someone on a night out or something.
Yeah,
because it just I can't be asked to go on a date with someone on Hinge and then to commit, particularly because I work in the evenings, right? So normally, if I go on a date, that means either sacrificing work or sacrificing like a night where I just could be chilling.
Yeah.
So there's a relatively high like cost, I feels like, for me going on a date. So I can't be asked to go on one and then have like no connection at all, or not even find them attractive.
Oh, I don't even go on dates anymore. I'm like, I have to go for a coffee first.
Sure.
Like, if we've not had a coffee, I'm not even doing that. I committed to a date the other week without having done the coffee thing, and I was like, so glad when he cancelled, because I was like, it's like maybe 6 hours, 5 hours. Like, what am I gonna?
Why are you spending 5 hours with them?
Oh, because that seems like a social amount of time. Like,
that's crazy.
On a date? How long would you spend on a date?
I mean, it depends how good it was, but I wouldn't go over like a couple of hours.
Oh, you go out at 6, or maybe you're back at 11. So it's 5 hours.
Well, I guess if you're coming in and out of London for you, then maybe.
No, I'm talking about in Reading.
You'd meet them at 6. And you'd leave at 11.
Well, okay, I wouldn't meet them at 6. I'd meet them at like 7.
Right.
But I need to leave my house at 6.
Okay.
It's about 5 hours all in for a date.
Okay.
In London, if you're going to go meet somebody in town, let's say you're going to go to a show.
I wouldn't do that on a first date.
Well, no, I wouldn't either now. I have coffee with them first and see.
I would. Mark, where are we going on our first date?
We are going. I would like meet someone at maybe 8 o'clock so I can have dinner beforehand. So I don't want to have dinner with someone on a first date. And I'd meet them at 8 and we'd go for a drink somewhere. And maybe if we hit it off, that goes on to like 11. But I've done 40 minutes before, but where I've just been like, well, there's no connection. What's the point of us wasting our time? I'm not in a rude way, but I've just been like, oh, I'm really sorry. My dog's home alone. I got to head back.
Yeah.
Which isn't a lie.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a dog, but it's not a lie.
I meant my wife.
So does your work impact your dating life?
I think in a negative way because I work when most people are free, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to meet in the first place. And then when you are dating, it's kind of like, oh, I work every Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah.
So when are we going to hang out and stuff? So, I don't think it's ideal. I think it might be one of the reasons why I sort of
Everybody dumps you.
Everyone does.
So last week we did a podcast with a doctor, and he was telling us how when he worked in the NHS, he was undateable because
so busy, so tired.
Just because his weekends are out, nobody wanted to date him because he didn't have weekends free. Which is super interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely an issue. Like this last weekend, I actually took Friday off and just had some beers with some school friends, which was so nice. My Saturday was traveling to Bath and back to do comedy. Yeah. Which is not ideal in a partner.
And your partners used to go with you on the gig, so you prefer not to, or?
No, I'm chill. Like I've taken, I'd bring them, but after the first, I think, couple of times, like for them, the novelty is probably worn off a little bit.
Of course.
And then it's a bit like, well, actually, it's not really an environment in which I can interact with them because I'm like in the green room or whatever. They're just kind of like sat there on their own.
Yes.
So I don't know. But so yeah, sometimes. And that's nice.
Especially at the beginning, you can charm them.
Beginning it's cool.
Yeah.
To take them to like good gigs.
Yeah.
And if you're like gigging, particularly with someone famous or super famous, then they're like, oh wow. But then I think they quite quickly see the like quite unromantic side of the end.
And do you think that's why they all leave you in different reason?
Yeah,
because they had an illusion of you, and then reality is
the reality is very different. It's shattered. They're off. Yeah, totally.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I can see that. I'm joking. Anyway, so we usually finish with a blitz 5 questions.
Sounds good.
Let's start. Your favorite gay bar or club?
I guess it's not even one of those, but I like Feel It in Borough.
Why Feel It?
They think quite a lot about their DJs. I feel like the music's always been really good there and quite varied. Like a Fatboy Slim has been there when I've gone, who I love.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess with love and respect to Heaven, which is a super important institution, it's a different one. It's like pop. It's like it's catering for teenagers. It feels like.
Do you go often to Feel It?
I go
when can I catch you?
Yeah, exactly. I go
I'm there sitting.
Like,
where's that kid?
Where's Ellen?
I'll be a security. I'll give you 20 quid.
Are there any listeners? Azamat just mimed binoculars. As if are they helpful in a nightclub? Like you just zoomed in on like someone's lapel. Do you need them?
Yeah.
Am I that small?
Next question. Do you take any supplements?
I take protein, whey protein.
Yeah.
And I haven't actually in ages, but creatine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what all the kids take, isn't it?
Drag queens, do you prefer lip sync or live vocals?
Live vocals, definitely. No offense to the lip sync girls, but like it's such a treat when you have a drag queen who's just got an amazing voice.
Yeah. Queer icon, dead or alive, you would invite for a dinner?
George Michael.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Dead.
Great to
That's
bring
never gonna happen.
Yeah, I just think his music was amazing. He was such a trailblazer, such an intelligent and interesting guy.
Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I remember listening to Ramesh Ranganathan on a podcast, who maybe for international listeners is like a massive UK comedian, and he was like, "Don't try and think, where am I going to be in like a year or 2 years? Like, just try and be a comedian today." You know, just wake up every morning and be like, I'm going to try and be a comedian today.
Yeah.
And then you stitch enough days together, and
so that helps with anxiety.
Exactly, and like your existential concerns about your career and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just focus on doing it today, and then see where you get to.
Makes sense. Last question: your favorite app?
I've got a little dog, and so I use the app Borrow My Doggy quite a lot. Which
is it a fetish?
No, it just literally means that people dog sit my dog for free. People in the neighborhood.
And they do that?
Yeah, people who don't have dogs but love dogs and want to look after them sign up, and then people who have dogs also sign up, and it just connects you. So I have loads of people in my neighborhood. Yeah, maybe that's how I'll meet my partner.
That would be a very sweet story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Real meet cute. Yeah.
On this positive note. Thank you so much, Mark.
Mark, thank you very much for coming. It's been a pleasure.
A lot of fun.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's been a blast. Thank you, guys. Love you.